Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Welcome back to the Cory Lee Show, guys. I am really just super excited about this conversation today. We've been trying to make this conversation happen for a while now. And
Yes.
so I know it's going to be good, Andy. I know it's going to be good. And so, you guys, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Andy Bui. Andy and I actually met at this author event in Columbus, and we strategically got
Yes.
placed right beside each other at the same booth, just really connecting. You know, there are times when you meet somebody, I was like, man, there's something about that dude. I like that dude right there. And so that's the way I felt about Andy. But Andy, welcome to the Cory Lee Show.
Thank you, sir. Honored, man. Truly, truly, truly honored. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you, sir. Thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. Well, guys, just to give you an idea of who Andy is, Andy and his family, they live in the Jackson area. He is an author, he's a small business owner. But he immigrated here from Vietnam, right? When you were 5?
Yes,
Around the
yes, sir. Yes,
five-year-old
sir.
mark?
With my
Yeah.
mother and two sisters. Yes.
Let's go. And I just had a incredible transformation. He was telling me about it, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring on. Well, one of the reasons, because your story, I believe, will impact a lot of people. But man, just the wisdom and the boldness and the courage that you carry right now, I think it'll just be contagious. And so, here's what I'd love to start us off with, Andy. Take us on the journey, like, you know, I mentioned that you're an author now. You own some businesses and those kind of things. But how did you get from where you were to really where you are today?
Let's go back to growing up. Yeah. I grew up mainly with my sister. I grew up Buddhist in a Buddhist home. My mother and sister's Buddhist. So I've been sporadically, I go to the temples. I've been to church throughout my life, but I did not have a concrete belief system.
Mm,
Right? You would say I was confused, and I
mm,
end up worshiping myself. Right? I live with these eyes, so what I see is possible, is reality, and therefore I trusted my thoughts and my heart, and they were inconsistent. Right?
mm,
So growing up, living life, and my story is, I would say, nothing extraordinary to the ordinary man living ordinary life, right? I would say I lived a good life, one that was without God. Before coming to faith, I have been with my wife 16 years, two beautiful boys, had a business. I'm not rich, but I was comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah. And as an immigrant, I made it. I did not need God. I
Mm.
did this on my own. I was further away from Him than I ever was in my life, and He had other plans. He allowed me to experience suffering, true suffering, in my own degree, and that was when you can say, I truly encountered Christ.
Yeah.
My first encounter with Christ, and from then that was it. That's when started my journey, and that was back in on Easter Sunday of 2023.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm suffering. You can say I was going through full depression, right?
So let me ask you this, Andy.
Yes,
You
sir.
talk about going through suffering. Kind of take us a little bit deeper when
Yeah.
you talk about suffering. Like, take us into that moment. What was going on in your life at that time? Like, what were you experiencing? What were you feeling?
Yes. So, in the midst of that, I have my own addictions. I was addicted to pills. I was fighting my own demons, and I was in the midst of losing the business, right? Yeah, you can say just irresponsible choices. Okay,
Mhm.
nail salon. And going through that, I was fearful. I was going through depression. I was about to lose my business. I was going to lose pretty much everything, my family, my life, and, I did not know how to overcome it. I didn't know where to go, who to talk to, or who to reach out to.
Yeah.
And as prideful as I was as a man, I didn't seek help. I didn't ask for help. I wanted to do this on my own, and you're shameful, and you hide from these things, right? You didn't want to admit that this is your fault. So, while I was going through depression, fear of everything, I started to reach out to I was looking online for spiritual self-help videos, anything that can help me get through
What made you
these
like,
times.
I'm just kinda curious, like,
Yeah.
in that season, what made you like, internally, what made you want to seek those kind of videos? Like, why that?
Well, first here, I was on a spiritual path, but I was on the what you would call a modern spirituality. I'm seeking like self-help and
Yeah,
seeking uh, what do they call it? Seeking oneself,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
wasn't on the
Personal
path of
growth.
God. Yeah,
Yeah,
correct,
yeah.
correct. The modern spirituality. Yes. And then one day I was like, honey, let's go to church. And at this time, we have not been to church in years, right? My wife grew up Baptist in Greenville, Mississippi, in the Delta, and there's a big Chinese community. They're all Baptists, right? But we have not been to church. And as a man of the house and as a leader, I you can say I lost that leadership,
Mm,
right? And that
mhm.
day, said, "Honey, let's go to church." And there's this one church, Word of Life, down the street, 5 minutes away. On Highway Lakeland Drive, Highway 25. I've seen the church. I've been living here almost 30 years, and I've seen the church before it was a parking lot. So
Right.
almost about 17 years. I saw the build up, and we never been to it. And it's right down the street. It's a big church. It's a mega church. And I'm like, honey, let's go to church. And I decided to go to church on that week, that day, which I did not know it was Easter Sunday.
You didn't even know it was Easter Sunday.
I did not know. I go in there, we go there, and I was like, wow, I'm ready. I was like, wow, there's a lot of people. And they're like, yeah, it's Easter. Everybody comes to church. I was like, yeah, including so yeah, I decided to go that day. And it all happened there. Pastor Joel's words, you can say, saved my life. All right. Because that moment, that day, I was receptive to the words. I
Yeah,
was ready to receive.
yeah.
So that's how my path veered towards following Christ. And
Yeah,
after that, I stopped watching, the help videos. I started reading the
yeah,
Bible.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I love that you brought that up. Like, I mean, what I do is I do
Yes.
leadership training and
Uh-huh.
all those kind of things. And man, early on, I started reading it, and like, I love some of the things personal growth teaches. I love some of the things leadership teaches, but it really only goes
Yes.
so far. It does like the mental stuff, but it does nothing to the spirit. And
Yes.
and that's what you're talking about. You encountered some words of life, and when you said that, it made me think about when we speak words of life, words of truth, it's like springs of living water, man, and it
Yeah.
pierces directly to the heart, and that's kinda what it sounds like you encountered
Yeah.
there.
Yes. And not to go in depth, I'm not too knowledgeable with the modern spirituality, where it teaches you to search for your own self,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Your own spirituality. And the difference is, and also with other religions, as most religions, including, the modern spirituality, we have the similar teachings and values. But others, the main difference is others teach us that we can do these things by ourselves on our
mhm,
own. Christianity, you cannot. So that is the essence of following him, that we cannot do these things on our own.
yeah.
So how can we separate ourselves from ourselves, right? So that's what I learned and encountered.
Man, that's good, and even what I hear and what you're saying right there, you mentioned it earlier, right? Like you moved here from Vietnam, you built it, right? You built the thing. You grew your
Yeah.
business in your own
Hard
strength,
work. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then a season came where you started losing what you personally
Yeah.
had built, and you had an encounter with the Lord. Now, I would love to hear, like, did you end up losing the business? Like, what happened?
Nope. We, it was due to contract disputes, right? And I would say during this time, rather than blaming the world, blaming others, I blame myself and not
Mhm.
anyone else, right? I blame myself for my choices, for putting myself in this situation, right? Whether there were, you know, I would external impact, right? Influences, I still direct that responsibility back to me,
Yeah,
accountability, right? Not my sister, whoever it is. I chose that path. So that's what I would
yeah. Oh, well, what about so Andy, a lot of people who listen to this show, man, they're either business owners, entrepreneurs, or in some kind of leadership role.
Yes.
Like, what shifted? Obviously, you're still a business owner now. Like, what
Yes,
has
with my
shifted?
sister, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
what has shifted in the way that you lead your business now, as compared to before?
Well, I would say God is in my life. He is the center of my life and not just part of my life, where every decision that I make pertaining to business, workers, whoever, I pray. I pray on it first. I pray about it first, and then I have a clear mind. I have a clear heart to make those choices to execute. So
Yeah,
that is, I would say, that's the main
yeah,
difference now that I ask for guidance. I pray for guidance and clarity and discernment. As versus before, I did not have that. I did not have that foundation. I just trusted and relied on my instincts, right?
yeah,
Myself, my flesh, which, man, that's what we grow up to be taught. We're taught to trust yourself, trust your instinct, man,
yeah,
trust your gut. Man, what does that mean, man? I feel right. I feel confident, right? I feel confident, but then I also feel, doubt and fear, right? Which choice do I make? Which way do I go? Which feeling? The first feeling, second feeling, third feeling. So with that, those to me that those were chaotic emotions.
mm,
There wasn't clarity. So now every choice that I make, even with writing the book, even business, everything, if there's no emotion, if there's no feeling, that I would say that is peace. That's
yes,
how I identify peace,
yeah.
and and that is the choice that I make.
Man, I just want to say what I heard you say because I really believe we're in a season, Andy, where the most valuable commodity on the planet is wisdom
Mm,
and discernment. And there's a wisdom not of man, there's a
yeah,
wisdom not of this world, and it's a wisdom of seeking the Father that He gives. And
yeah,
what I hear you saying is as you're making the decision as a business owner, as a father, whatever it
yeah,
is, you're seeking the Lord and how you recognize the voice of the Lord in your life
yes,
is peace.
yes.
That's when you know, like, okay, the Lord is on that. Is that correct? Is that kinda how you discern?
Yes, let me share this story.
Come
This
on.
is beginning of last year. So I during my journey, my path, I met these two gentlemen, financial advisors, right?
Okay.
And this is going into my second meeting. So after we had our meeting, I'm signing papers, and one of the guys, shout out to Austin, Austin and Tristan from Primerica. Let's go. So he asked me, Andy, how you feel? You know, I was like, okay. I was like, truthfully, I I do not trust you. I do not trust you. I do not trust man. I do not trust myself.
Mhm.
Right.
Wow.
And yeah. And why I'm sitting here now because in the past, the old Andy. he did trust man, he trusts himself, he trusts his
Wow.
flesh, and therefore he made irresponsible decisions and choice. And at that time, he made those I was making a financial decision for, for the future for my family and myself, right? And back then I made these decisions. I felt confident, what I was saying earlier. I felt, man, I felt good. I felt confident. But then I felt there was a little fear and doubt and worry,
Mhm.
right? So those were chaotic emotions that I had and feelings that I had. And to answer your question right now, man, I have no emotion. I have no doubt, right? I have peace. And no, and then Austin's like, brother, that's peace. I was like, exactly. Exactly. So that's what I wanted to share that too. So with that experience, I can truthfully tell you that I now know peace.
Mm,
I now know peace, even going through financial hardships, the business is slower, it slows down every year, right? That's okay, right? That's all right. I can truthfully tell you, I trust in him.
yeah.
You hear those, growing up, you hear, trusting God, trusting him, trusting the Lord. But do we truly, we say
Mm,
that, but then we continue to, stress and worry, all these things we experience life and gambling, business, money, and we stress ourselves out. So do
yeah,
we truly trust him? Right? It's easy to say that, right? And yeah, our actions and our behaviors do not align.
yeah.
So
It's easy to say that, right?
it's very, yeah. I trust in him, and then and we're easy to share that with others. When we see others going through, struggling and going through and suffering, like, man, just trusting God. But then when it's our turn and we're in the moment and we're in that situation, we forget, we allow our flesh and our emotions to overcome our beliefs. That's
Mhm,
a right. So and it's a practice. It's practice.
mhm.
It's a daily practice.
Yeah.
It's
I wanna ask you quick here's a question, I love to ask
yes.
this to sometimes we'll get together and we'll do some worship nights or,
Uh-huh.
men's gatherings. I love to ask this question, so I'm gonna ask it, I'm gonna let you think about it just for a second.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna share some thoughts on the what you just said about peace, but Andy, I would love to hear one of your favorite God moments. One of your favorite, like, personal whether it's encounters, personal revelation, or personal like, where God has used you or whatever, one of your favorite God moments, and while you're thinking about that, I was just thinking about this yesterday. You're talking about peace. We're kind of in a season where my business is just like every other business. It
Yeah.
sometimes slows at peaks and valleys, and it's kind of slow. And you begin looking at the bank account, and you begin forecasting out of like, ooh, there's not a lot coming in. And I just remember praying. This was yesterday. I was praying yesterday, and
Yeah.
he's like, hey, Lord, this is a situation, and just I felt so much peace
Yeah. Uh,
over the situation, and man, he has provided time and time again. He has in the
yes.
past. I got, tons of stories. He will provide this time, and he will in the
Yeah.
future. And man, it's just it's a whole other thing whenever you can take that trust from the head to the heart, and just know that he will lead you, he will provide, and all the things. And so, what about you, Andy? One of your favorite God moments? Mhm.
Okay. So when you asked that, one thing came in my mind. It was an experience that I had. This is back in the fall. So I'm not sure if you know this about me. So ever since coming to faith, I've been fasting, right? I've fasted before throughout my life. Before I knew that fasting was biblical, right?
Yeah,
But I was not a faith, so I was conditioned by the world. So when I think of fast, fast for my health. I
yeah,
fast to lose weight, right? And then it became, you can say, like almost like competition, man. How many days, how many hours, intermittent fasting, this. So it was nothing remotely close to spirituality, right?
yeah,
So when I came to faith, I've been fasting and I've, you would say, gradually picked up a routine where I past little over 3 years, I only once a day now, okay? So, in a way, those looking in, I'm like intermittent fasting, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it
yeah,
just
yeah.
came yeah, it just, it was natural, so I feel like eating 3 times a day, 3 eating 3 meals a day is too much. So I eat once, dinner, that's it. Drink water. Anyways, so I've been doing this, and each month I try to fast couple days. As the Bible scripture tells us that it's when we fast, not if we fast, right? So it's mandatory. It's not a choice, right? So I've been doing this. And while I'm doing this, there's times that I have fasted for situations for others, even for my nephew who's going through some, I would say, some mental issues. Okay. And every time I try to fast for them, thinking of them, I there's always there's always automatic thoughts of my health.
Mm,
Okay. For myself. Okay. So I'm practicing, and this is back in the fall, 2 years in with my fasting. So I go to this men's group, right? About a year now, and we meet up every Tuesday. I went this morning, 5:30 a.m. All right. So we're going around the table, and there's about 6, 7 of us. We're going around the table. We're doing prayer requests. And then one of our brothers, gentlemen, he comes, and our group leader, he's like, hey, brothers, let's hold on. He saw something with our brother. He was he was not himself.
mm,
Seemed like he was struggling with something. And he shared with us, he was vulnerable, and it was about his son. So our group leader took us to his like, hey, there's some oil. We're gonna go into altar. Let's go in there, let's pray over him. I've never experienced this before, right? This is my first time. So we go in there, we all lay our hands on him, on our brother, and we took turns and we prayed over him.
wow,
So after that experience, I come home, man, I'm alive. I don't know. Right? And I was like, man, I'm gonna fast for him and his son.
wow,
Right. And that was the first time over 2 years that I was able to fast for them
wow,
without thinking of my health benefits,
wow.
right?
Yeah,
So yeah, so I did that, and then like the next day, I shared that with them. I shared that. I text the group, and I'm grateful, and that is the defining moment in my faith. You know,
mm,
to have that intimacy, and fasting. You know, Christ did not fast 40 days for his health benefits, right? So it comes down to our intent, and I believe it's a practice
yeah,
to have that deeper connection, that intimacy with God. So and now there's still times that there have those thoughts of myself, of my flesh for self benefit, but it's less,
wow,
right? So that is yes, that is my I would say my favorite encounter now, and I share that story a lot about fasting.
yeah,
Even Christ says, fast in secret, right?
mm,
But then I also look at when he fasted in the wilderness for 40 days, there's by himself. Right? So that story, he he had to tell his apostles. He had to share that story, right? So it's for me to share these stories of fasting to encourage, to
yeah,
help others, as the health benefits is just a byproduct of
yeah,
fasting. And everything in our lives, the fruits are byproduct of following Christ.
yeah.
Right.
So, man, that's pretty powerful because what you're saying right there is there was a moment where you became aware of something that happened in your heart where you no longer were doing this for personal gain, but
Yes.
now it shifted to
Yeah.
other focus. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know if somebody's listening is like, "Well, that's kind of interesting." No, that's a powerful thing,
Yeah,
right? Like, because that's a shift at the heart level. Like,
yeah.
you
That
can't make
your
that
heart posture, yes.
Yes, it's something that happens in the heart posture. It's not something that you can do 3 sets of 21 days to make something
Yeah,
happen like that at the heart level.
and it's a process,
Yeah,
how you get from, like, a wicked, wicked heart, evil, right, to we just say to be true, to
yeah,
be genuine, to be pure,
yeah,
right? So it's a process, and there's practice.
yeah, that's good. Andy, let me ask you
But,
this. Let's say there's somebody listening and they've built their business or they've gone up that ladder and they're in a leadership role and everything that you're taught is man 10x this and 10x that and but they're also a believer, they're also a Christian and they're still kind of in that struggle of like
yeah,
what's my responsibility? How do I let God do? Like what do I do right here, right? Like,
yeah,
what advice would you give to that person that may be kinda in that lane of, like, how do I just hand it to the Lord and just be peace
man.
like, be obedient to whatever He's saying instead of making things happen?
That's a great question. I'm working on that myself, but I would say
Praise,
this,
we're working on it, Andy.
man, I would say this, I would fast and pray.
Wow.
I fast and pray on that. Every situation, even the small ones, every
Yeah,
situation, I'll fast and pray on it and have that relationship with God. Have that relationship, that intimate man, and practice and teach yourself to yearn for that. Right? We like just like hunger, just like our hunger, right?
yeah.
I want to get to the point where I pray more than I eat,
Wow.
right? I yearn
Wow.
more. Yeah, at that hunger to pray and fast
Mm,
for Him. I yearn more for that relationship with God, more than my hunger for food and
mm,
substance, right? And to truly trust that He will take care of me, and that I believe that will help and guide you to all your answers to all your questions, in life, even the small ones.
even the small ones. I agree.
Even the small ones. You know, back to the fasting where this is this is the enemy. He mimics, right? He hijacks even a simple topic as fasting
Mm,
to redirect that to yourself, right?
yeah,
How can you rebuke someone saying, "Oh, I fast for myself, for my health," right? It's good. It's not wrong, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
man, that's the enemy.
Yeah, I was, you reminded me of a verse of scripture. I was trying to find it while you were talking there, and I read this yesterday. This is in Philippians 3, but it was talking about
Uh-huh.
the enemies of the cross of Christ, whose end is destruction, whose God is their appetite, whose God is their belly, right?
Yeah.
Like the desires, and it is not obviously that's not just talking about food, but it's talking about like the desires of our heart. And you
Yeah.
even said what triggered the thought was earlier when you said trust your gut.
Yeah.
Right, trust your gut, trust your
That's
stomach,
what we're
like that
taught. Yeah.
intuitive instinct, and it says, "Whose God is their belly, and
Yeah.
whose glory is their shame, who set their minds on earthly things, but our citizenship is in heaven, from which also we eagerly wait for our Savior, who will transform our body in a humble state into conformity of the body of His glory." But anyway, that man, that's powerful. That's good stuff.
What scripture was that? Philippians
So that's Philippians 3, and it's at the very end. Philippians 3:19 says, "Whose end is destruction, whose God is their
3:19.
belly." Yeah.
I'm gonna save that.
Yeah, save that. Philippians
See,
3.
first time in my life, I finished the Bible. I'm rereading it for the rest
Yes,
of my
sir.
life. I'm on Joshua, but like these verses, you forget, right? And
Yes,
you look
yeah.
over them,
Yep, yep.
right? Let me let me add this. First Timothy 5:23, I believe. First Timothy 5:23.
Yeah.
Timothy 5:23. Yeah. Okay. No longer drink water exclusively, but use a little wine for your stomach and your ailments, right? So
Yeah.
even that, I read that, a few months ago, and I had overlooked it. I was like, okay, that's exactly what I've been doing
Oh,
in my own understanding. So I quit energy drinks. I quit all that. I've been drinking water exclusively the last 3 years, right? For myself to be better, right?
yeah.
So all these things are byproduct. And I was like, okay, I don't drink alcohol, throughout my life. I don't drink. And now I have to I gotta train myself to because I believe in the word and
Yeah.
I don't believe in myself or my own understanding. So I have to train myself to drink wine every now and then for my
Yeah,
for
for the health
myself,
benefit.
for my health benefits. And with that, man, just that you have to rewire your mind again, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everything that we do is the intent of our heart, right? We put
Yes.
him first. Am I drinking wine for to feel good or to get through the day or having a rough day for myself, my pleasure, right? Am I drinking for pleasure or am I drinking because being obedient and I'm listening to him?
Yeah.
Listening to the word. So that's just little things like that, man, that you miss and you overlook. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to
So interesting you
share
bring that
that.
up. Man, I'm a huge water drinker, and like you,
Uh-huh.
I've never really
Okay.
alcohol was
Yeah.
never my thing, right? I never
Yeah.
never even had a desire for it, but I got into drinking this, vitamin energy drink, and, it's
Uh-huh.
a healthy,
Yeah.
um,
Yes.
nutrition vitamin drink or whatever. Well, the Lord started convicting me probably man, this is probably about 3 or 4 months ago. It was like, "Man, you need to quit." And I was like, "I don't really wanna quit. I kinda like them, and, like, I kinda
Mm.
like these."
Yeah.
And, man, I just felt really convicted,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, he changed my taste buds for it. Like,
Let's
cold
go.
turkey, I decided to quit,
Yeah.
and man, I feel like I have more energy now than
Yeah.
when I had
And then
those
in
things.
turn, you're more in control of yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And that's discernment too,
yeah.
right? Just little things like that. If you're man, man, we're growing up, man, we say we love ourselves, right? But then we continue to, put harmful substance, we do harmful things to ourselves, even to our mind.
Mm.
But then we're like, oh, I love myself and I want to improve, I want to be better, I want to do this and that. But you know, we we fight ourselves, we are convicted, every single day, right?
Yeah.
We lose control, we lose part of ourselves every day. And you ask, man, who's controlling me? You
Mm.
know, who am I if I unable to control myself? I know this is bad for me. I know this burger is bad for me, right? But do I truly believe it? And I still eat it. I was like, okay. And then I hate myself after that. It's
Andy, man, I've loved our conversation and truly enjoyed it. I've got your book right here. For those that are listening to the podcast and not watching this on YouTube, by the way, he autographed you. I got the autograph version right there.
come on.
I want you to listen to the title of this: "The Courage to Live a Meaningful Life." Man, that is a powerful title there.
Oh,
The courage to live a meaningful life. All right, where'd the title come from?
oh, let's go. So the title, actually, my brother-in-law, who is Jewish, shout out to Jonathan.
Hold on a
Come
second.
on.
Alright, wait,
This
time
is
out. So
man.
you grew up Buddhist, you went to church a little bit, your
Yeah.
brother-in-law's Jewish. Now
Yeah,
you
and during this time, I'm struggling. I'm going through my depression. He's texting me. He's giving me encouragement, right? Every now and then, he's like, "Hey, good morning," just give me encouraging phrases and words, right? And then when I came to faith, I'm sharing with him, and there was time I forgot that he was Jewish. I was like, "Oh man!" Well, his wife, which is my wife's sister, she reminded her. She's like, my wife is just like, "Honey, Jonathan's Jewish." I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." So But yeah, but he helped me with that title, believe it or not.
Wow.
And you can see him and his influence throughout the book. So he's
Wow.
mentioned in the book. But what do you think the courage means to you? What is that? When you
Well,
read the courage,
when
that word.
for me, when I read that, it's the courage, and I guess it's probably maybe the season that I'm in, the courage for simple obedience.
Yeah,
Turning at the slightest whisper of the sound of his voice, man, that
yeah,
takes courage to do that. It takes courage
yeah.
not to listen to my voice. And so anyway, that's what I hear.
Yes. Yes. So that yes, courage to live life to live life to its fullest potential, to your fullest potential, to challenge yourself, right? So all these things that you can interpret, you can take from the word courage. Now, as I'm deeper into my faith, that meaning itself has shifted
Mm.
to the courage to no longer deny him,
Ooh, yeah.
no longer deny Christ,
Wow.
right? As that's the old Andy, right? As I've judged others, I've judged those of faith, I've judged God, Buddha, whoever, man, I judge them for their hypocrisy, for their inconsistency, right? I could do that myself. I don't need God. I don't need
Mm.
any gods to do that. I can I can clearly do that on my own. And but now, yes, that is the true meaning. You would say, it's shifted. The
Mm.
true meaning is to the courage to no longer deny Christ.
Wow, man, that is so good. Well,
Uh,
man, I love that. So let's say somebody's listening, they wanna connect with you, they wanna get a copy of your
yes.
book. How do they do that?
Yes. So my book is on my website at andybui.life. It is also on Amazon. It is on barnesandnobles.com. Also locally in Barnes and Noble here in at the Renaissance in Ridgeland, Mississippi. So also, recently it's Barnes and Noble, Mississippi State. So it's
There you
there
go.
too. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
that's awesome. Well, Andy, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate just taking the time and adding value to our listeners. So thank you for coming on, Andy.
Brother, thank you for having me, man. Anytime. We got to do this more. Oh, we finally got together.
We got it, man. We got it. Well, hopefully, I'll see you at the next book event in
Yes,
Columbus. So
yes, yes. Columbus, that's coming up, right? That's coming
mm,
up soon. And hopefully the Mississippi State Book Fair.
yes,
Yes, that's a
sir.
big one that in September.
In
So
September.
we'll see each other.
I like it.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
guys, I thank you for taking a listen to this episode of the Cory Lee Show. Make sure you go and check out Andy again, andybui.life or Amazon. We'll try to put those in the show notes below. But truly appreciate you guys taking a listen. I hope it's added value to you, and if it has, make sure you share it with somebody that may need to hear what Andy has shared and what we've talked about today. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes of the Cory Lee Show. And hey, hope you guys have a great day and God
Yes,
bless.
sir. All right.
3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.